Hello, everyone. Just wanted to poke in here. I'm gonna just allow a couple more minutes since I see several people join in here within the last few seconds. So I'll give everybody just a couple more minutes, and then we'll get started. Uh, I will do my best to keep this thing under an hour, but I will be willing to go beyond that if people would like and if they have questions. So just hang tight here for a minute or two, and we'll get started. Okay, thanks everyone. Appreciate your patience. I know we're a minute or two behind schedule, but just wanted to make sure it didn't start too early while people were coming in. So, um, thank you. My name is Jeff Hebrink with rezStream, so hopefully you're in the right place. Today's webinar will be kind of more focusing on what the guests are experiencing when interacting with you and your website and therefore rezStream. So I'll kind of combine. It'll be a combination of, website tips, trips, but more booking engine related, and then software where you go in the software to kind of either fix or adjust or improve those things. So a few things I like interaction. So I believe there should be a Q&A or comments that everybody can feel free to type in some questions. It could be about really anything. Hopefully it's more related to the topic at hand, but I don't mind if you stick in anything else. So I want these to be informative, but I want them to be valuable. So if you're not getting a piece of information that you want, just stick it in there. And whether I answer it right now or later, that's cool. So I do have a few poll items. I ask if everybody could participate. That would be cool. And at the end, hopefully I did it right. There should be a survey that pops up. I would appreciate anybody and everybody that be willing to fill that out. I think it's only like 6 questions, so it shouldn't take you very long. All right, with that, let's get started. So again, I kind of wanted to focus on the guest experience. So what that means is I'm going to start with the website. And actually, before I get started, I'm actually going to launch a couple of polls here. So first poll is: do you book your units, rooms, cabins by actual room or by room type? So just wanted to get an indication here. So if we could, I'll keep it open here for another 10 seconds or until everybody responds. 3 more seconds here if you haven't already. All right. And then I'd like to just get an indication that kind of goes along with that, what type of property you are with. I'll keep it here for another 5 seconds or so. All right, cool. So appreciate the responses there. I just wanted to give you an indication just so you guys understand who you're with here, just to give you an indication there. Hopefully you are you're seeing those results. So all right, I will get rid of that for now and get started here. So I wanted to focus on kind of 3 ways that at least rezStream recommends that you show your availability, try to create online reservations. So first, an obvious choice here is, this is by the way, this is my fake resort website, just to give you an indication. So this is, if you see anything funky, it's, I do things all the time for people. So um, first way here is the obvious book now button. And it's a button that anybody can put on your website. It doesn't have to say book now, whatever you want to do there. So some people call it reservations, some people call it check availability, some people call it book now. So that's number one, right? So when I click on that, and you probably all have done that, it goes to the booking engine. So that's number one. So then I'm going to go back to my home page here. The other one I want you to notice here is on the bottom of my page here. This, we call it the quick booking widget. And you'll notice that thing just is static on there. So no matter where I go on my website, if I'm going and learning about family reunions on here, this thing will always display. So we'll always allow that person, whenever they decide that they want to make that booking or check availability, they can just quickly come in here and type in an arrival, departure, how many, cabins or rooms or whatever they want to rent, adults, children, etc. So that's option number 2. And then the final option, this is probably one of those ones that I see the least, but I always recommend, is hopefully everybody has, if you book by either unit or unit type, they have a specific page for that unit or unit type. So on mine, on my demo property here, I have a by unit, right? So I have these each individual cabins, and I want to learn more about this particular cabin, right? So I'm on this cabin's page, I'm checking it out, I'm seeing pictures, cool, I'm reading about it. And then this is the third and final way that we kind of recommend interacting. So this is an individual unit calendar. So this is the availability for this specific unit that resides on this page of the website. So now as a guest, I can come in here and see what your availability is here and click on an arrival, click on a departure. I could also fill these in. And then I could come in here and just say book this unit. And then I'll just click it here. At that point, it's already in my, quote unquote cart. I've had the dates already selected. So I no longer have to go and try to find availability for that particular unit. If I'm interested in it, I don't have to go query the whole entire property to find that unit. So those are kind of the 3 different ways that we recommend on your website to capture online bookings. And then what I'd like to focus on now is more about once they hit the booking engine, right? So I'm going to start with this. I'm going to talk about some of the features here that you'll notice. One is we do have the ability, I've done this for some people, but if not, if you do have something maybe unique or special about your booking process, we have the ability to post a little message on the top. That's kind of where maybe if you're seeing mine and yours doesn't have that, that's something right now that we do. So if you need something posted there, please reach out to me and we can get it on your website. But the other item I want to pay attention to is, we can click on arrival, click on a departure, is we now have the ability to filter by ADA accessible units. I am going to touch on that a little bit later in more depth probably, but I just kind of wanted to show it since I'm on this page. So click on an arrival, click on a departure. And now, so far too many times, I am kind of checking out people's websites, and what I see here is just a list of your units with really no photos, barely any description, and then just kind of missing some overall items. So what that does is it makes that guest need to go back to your website, kind of leave that booking process, even though they've told your website they're interested in booking, but now they don't really know what cabin one is if I didn't have photos here. So what they'll do is they'll go back up and they'll go leave the booking process, and then maybe they'll get a phone call, or their baby starts crying, or they had to get back to work, and now you've lost that and potentially lost that booking. So that's the number one thing on here, and you'll notice they can scroll through the pictures here. So a couple of items to note: have good quality photos here. And then as far as quantity goes, we actually recommend 5 to 7 photos. And if you have a bathroom photo, we do recommend having a bathroom photo if it's, especially if it's a nice bathroom. So those are kind of the key things people are looking for of what is going to be my experience at this particular unit. Um, I will actually go back into the software and kind of show you this stuff as soon as I finish this. So photos is number one, quality photos is number one. Number two is a full description of that unit. So don't make them go try to search and find what this unit is all about. Load in your full description here. So you'll notice I have a little paragraph, and then I kind of have almost bullets for amenities here. So it allows the user again to quickly see what that unit is about before they offer that. And then final thing here is the rate description. I do know that a lot of people only kind of have one rate, and that might change by the time of the year or the day of the week, but it's kind of maybe their standard nightly or their standard weekly. But we do have the option of showing an actual description of that rate. So, for example, I chose the standard rate. This just says this is our standard nightly rate. Weekly rate, our weekly rate, 7 nights, Saturday to Saturday in the peak season. So again, just kind of noting here that you can describe these rates. So that you might have a special offer, or a 3-day getaway package, or some other type of rate. Use that rate description. So make sure they understand what they're getting when they choose that rate. So what I'm going to actually do here is, first of all, I'm going to just check to see if anybody had any questions. So far, none. All right. I'm going to go into the software here and just kind of make sure everybody is aware on where to find those things. So the booking engine is where I'm going to start, especially the photos. So if you haven't done this already, if you don't have photos, or if you need to update those photos, click on the booking engine, and then you would go to images. And from here, you'll notice I've got a lot in my demo here, and I'm not using all of these, but you can hit add images, especially maybe if you don't have the quality of photos you're looking for, or maybe you remodeled and they're outdated photos. Go take new photos, have them taken by professional photographers. And then you can click and just kind of load all of those pictures up. And then they will appear on the screen here. And then what you do is you say, all right, cabin number 1, here is the current pictures that I have. So maybe you updated them and these are old, so you get rid of these couple. But now you want to add in this one, and you want to add in this one. And then you also have the ability to rearrange those. So whatever you want first. So now I can kind of maybe move the exterior photo first, and then maybe the view photo last, and then a couple of photos in between there. But once you do that and you leave, your website will now be up to date. So those photos will be in there in that order from here on out. So that's number 1. And then, give me a second here. The other part is like the unit descriptions, units. So I move over to the configuration section under the units. click on cabin 1 here, you will notice there's other additional tabs. This is another area where you can add images, by the way. But so there's a description tab. You go in here, and now you can create this description. As you can see, it's kind of got some of the word processing features in here where you can change the font and the size and make things bold and italicize and underline, etc. So um, you don't you don't have to make this some 10 paragraph thing, but just hit the high points of the unit, maybe a few bullet points or anything that you want to make sure that you would cover for what that unit description is. Again, the goal is to not have to make them leave your booking process to go find that information on your website. And then the final option that I kind of showed you, here's the images, by the way, the tab, another way to get to that. And then the other thing I kind of showed there is the rate descriptions. So again, where you find those is in the configuration tab under the rate plans. You would click on a rate plan. Now you'll notice these are the rate descriptions here. So if you're all been using the system for a while, the rate plan is more like the unit type. And it could just be if you go by individual unit and every unit has its own unique rate, then every unit will have a rate plan. Within that, you have rates. So I have my standard rate. And if you want to go back in there and edit those, you just click on that and hit edit the rate. And once again, here you're going to see a tab for description. And that is where, this is our standard nightly rate. So again, you can come in here and, I would imagine with rates, you're not going to get too wordy, but if it includes a package or something special, free Wi-Fi, book direct rate. Some people have, a book direct rate that's maybe, includes some perks that maybe they wouldn't otherwise get if they booked from an OTA. So kind of highlight those particular things. So, all right. So those kind of cover where in the software that you would make adjustments to in the software. So I'm going to actually launch another poll here. If you guys could answer, I just kind of wanted to gauge the people that are attending here. How many photos right now on your booking engine are you showing? Or maybe you don't have a booking engine, so that's an option as well. So I just kind of want to get an indication. I'll hold it open here for another 5 seconds or so. So far, it's looking like most of you guys are on the ball here. So, all right, another few seconds if you haven't answered. All right, so I'll share those just to give you an indication. The vast majority of you have, 4 or more than 5 here, so that's great. A couple of you only have 1, which is still great. Nobody answered none, which is phenomenal. And then somebody is not taking online bookings, which is totally fine. So hopefully this webinar maybe either convinces you to do that or just is helpful in some other way. So, all right. So as we progress into that booking, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually kind of cover a couple of one final thing really on the booking process is we get asked this a lot. This is why I wanted to cover that. So the terms and conditions here. Give me a second. All right. Actually, 2 more things on this final step. So they have to include their name, information, shows them their deposit that's due, credit card info. So these are the final 2 things here I want to cover. In my demo here, you're going to see this additional information box, and it may or may not have more or less than any of you guys, but we have the ability in the software to have custom fields set up for your reservations. And then in the booking engine, you can actually choose whether or not you want to ask those questions on your booking engine. And then the last kind of option on that is you could either require an answer. So, are you bringing a boat? I could actually require that instead of making it optional, and it would be bold, and it would not let me make a booking until I answered that, or make it optional. Again, the goal here is to not drill them with 15 different questions. I just kind of wanted to show I have, kind of 3 additional fields here that might not show up in a lot of people's. You don't want to ask, you don't want a list of 10 different questions that they have to fill out. But you could, if something's really important that you end up having to call everybody to get anyways, you could ask that question and even require it. And then finally, the terms and conditions. And I do want to show you this just because I want to highlight a couple of things. You'll notice in mine, I have something that's, bigger font, bold, underline. So I always tell people, when you create these terms and conditions, if there's 1 or 2 things that you kind of really want to hit home that draws their attention, put asterisks on there, make it bold, underline it, that at least draws them to this box. First of all, they have to click this box in case anybody didn't know. They have read and agree, but it kind of draws their eye here. And then what they'll end up doing is usually reading down to make sure they've read all of those. But once again, I always tell people, if there's 1 or 2 that you really want to make sure they see, kind of make that bold. So before I switch over and kind of show where in the process we do those things, I want to make sure there was no question here. There's a rates question, which I will answer, but maybe after I get done with this. This is one, is the security code for the credit card mandatory? Are you probably talking about this? Yes, this is mandatory, the CVV code on here. All right, so I just wanted to kind of cover in the software where some of those custom fields are, and then the terms and conditions. So custom fields is, sorry, go back up. Configuration section, and then down towards the bottom of this screen, there's custom fields and dates. So you'll notice, are you bringing a boat? So I created a field called "Are you bringing a boat?" and it applies to the reservation section. And in this one, it's just kind of, I could mark it as important. This is more software related, but at least this is where you create the fields. So you're creating those fields. And then in the booking engine section, you have this custom fields area here. So again, booking engine, custom fields. So now I have the ability to do not show, or show but make it optional, so allow them to skip it, or show and then require them. So that's source of contact and reason for stay. That's for everybody's on there. And then as far as custom fields here, it's going to just list all of my custom fields I have. And then you can go down and do the same thing. So allow someone to skip it, make it optional, require it, or just do not show. By default, everything's going to be do not show. And in that case, if I do not show any of these things, that area of the booking engine won't even appear here. So that's kind of where you set the custom fields up. And then finally, terms and conditions. I want to hit that. Again, this is in the booking engine section under the state conditions and policies. So terms and conditions. You'll notice this is how it looks on my screen. But again, you'll notice I can increase or change the font, change the size, bold, italicize, format, bullet point. So again, this is kind of where I, put in some asterisks here, made this bold, bigger font, underlined, so it draws their attention in here. So again, that is in the booking engine section under the stay terms and policies. And then once you make those, if you're going to go back and change these things, once you make those change, be sure to hit save configuration if you've edited anything. So you could hit save configuration up on the top. Sometimes people reach out to us and say they've made the change, but then maybe if they forget to actually hit save, then it doesn't save. So the last thing I wanted to talk about, actually two more things, is the ADA tips on your website, especially on the booking engine process. So before I get started on that, I'm gonna reach out on another poll. Sorry if I kept sharing that. I'm going to ask this question. Do you have an ADA strategy? This is kind of a made up term that I made up. I just kind of want to get an indication as to what people are doing, if they've paid any attention to that, if they're focusing on that, and then maybe just see if people are aware of it. So give you another 5 seconds or so if you want to answer that. A few more seconds here. All right. So just wanted to give you an indication. No won the battle there. A few yeses. One is, what is ADA? So just to give you an indication of what is ADA. So what I mean by ADA is the Americans with Disabilities Act. So that's the acronym ADA. Really, I'll summarize it here. We're not saying we're ADA experts, but I do want to just kind of highlight those things because in the end, we're starting to see more and more. We call them drive-by lawsuits where people are getting sued because the lawyers will kind of just start scanning people's websites and they see no indication of any sort of ADA capabilities on people's websites. So you'll notice on my demo website here, we have a widget here. It's just kind of down in the lower left. When I click on that, it allows me to do certain things. So, and not allow me, right? So if anybody has a disability, they know, they pay attention to that. They can click on here and make the website higher contrast, bigger text, big cursor, just kind of highlight the links, etc. So it kind of gives the ability to change your website. I comment on that. That's regarding your website, right? So any websites that we build, we do websites in marketing, in case you weren't aware. So any websites that we do automatically have that on the actual website. But you'll notice everybody has that on their booking engine. So everybody's booking engine will already have that built in. So that kind of has the little wheelchair icon. So regardless of whether you have it on your website, we enable that in the booking process. And then I kind of touched on it early on here, but we allow people to filter ADA accessible rooms. So that's important. So now they can actually come in here and they want to search. And I don't know in my demo, I apologize. I should have checked on that. I don't know if I had any. So I'm selecting ADA accessible units. I do have a unit. So I have one unit, the Pine Cabin is ADA accessible here. A couple of things to note again, we're not, we're not keeping up with necessarily the laws and the exact information that you need. I have heard that you're supposed to put in the floor plan or the openings, the length of the openings and showers and bathtubs and et cetera. Make sure you highlight that in the actual unit itself. But again, you can kind of make sure you brush up on that. So, and then where you set that, how I set that up in the software is in the configuration section. When I set up my units, when I click on that, I can actually comment of is it accessible or not? So is this unit ADA accessible? So I can click on that, and then that will, when people use that filter, that will show up when people filter by that. So just wanted to cover that before I went on to the final stage about the mobile booking process. And before that, I'm going to just check the questions here. One more question related to what we've been doing, the additional information box. Okay, so the question was, is the additional information box done like the terms and conditions? How do you set up a separate box? So I'm assuming what that question means is when I'm on this final stage here, the additional information, that's kind of automatically done. So if you're choosing to show this stuff, you should have, I'm assuming this is what you mean by the box. You should have that box if you set up the additional information. So if you don't, reach out to me. I can make sure we figure that out for some reason. So again, that should be done automatically for you if you start asking those questions. All right. With that being said, not being said, so I'm going to move to the final piece of information I want to share, and that is the mobile booking engine process. So just we did make an enhancement, and this is especially true for people that have the option of showing full availability on their booking engine. So that's kind of the TUI calendar where people show the units on side, dates across top on their booking engine. So I kind of wanted to highlight this was for those particular people, the step number one here. This is how your mobile booking engine will present. And what we did was we moved this view desktop availability calendar from the way bottom of the screen now up right below the search for availability, and we make it just as prominent as that search for availability button. So we were getting numerous people request this, and our development team was awesome in getting this rolled out. But now, instead of trying to search here, that button is right here. They can go to that view. Now, step number 2. This is for if they did the search on step number 1, and now nothing is available. So we used to just have search again or call us as the 2 options, and then full availability was just sitting down here as another link. But now our team moved another button up here to where they view full availability. So again, we had numerous people feedbacks and suggestions of people on their mobile booking engine where they were really busy around holiday weekend, and people were struggling because they would have to keep clicking on search again, and nope, it's not available, search again, or end up having to call them, in which case now they can click on this full availability. And then as long as you have that full 2-week calendar, that'll be the full calendar. If you don't have the 2-week calendar, it'll still route to your main booking engine, but it'll be more of the same message they get when they're on a desktop of we don't have any availability, here's all my units, and then you could actually check availability for each particular unit there. So that's kind of the one enhancement that we did that I wanted to highlight on the mobile booking engine, and that's just done automatically. So everybody's mobile booking engine was updated. I think I have this question here. I want to ask this question. First of all, to see if people are aware, and then just get an indication of our customers, at least the ones on this call. What percentage of your online reservations are made from people's phones? So if you give me an indication. About another 5 seconds or so. Hopefully we get. All right, few seconds here if you haven't responded. All right, I'll share those results. 40% have less than 20% made. 13%, 21 to 40, one person 41, 7%, and then 13% is more than 50%. And maybe I'll cover this as another topic here. This I have no idea, just because I wanted to show you in our software where you can quickly find that information. Just again, it kind of goes back to the guest's experience. So with regards to the booking engine and really your website. So, if you're not paying full attention to the mobile aspect of your website. So I wanted to show you where you can find that quick for those people who have no idea. In the reports section, I apologize here, I have, let's see here, revenue by channel. So this is a good indication. So this is the revenue and how those reservations came in. So let me just, being that this is a demo here, I'm just going to have a couple of years worth of data just so I can make sure I capture some bookings for mobile. And you'll have to forgive me for when this loads up, I'll show you, and maybe it'll raise more questions. But I have my database sort of built into what I call properties. So in almost everybody's, they're just going to have one, property, but yours might not have this where it lists this property and this property. It'll probably just have one property on here. But now this gives you an indication of the quantity, the number of bookings here from Booking Engine, which is made just on your desktop, mobile Booking Engine, which was made from their phones, and then this none category again. I remember I mentioned this is a demo, so there's none category, and then PMS means that you entered them directly into the property management system. So on mine, you'll see a vast majority of my reservations, and then we gotta have some pie charts down here as to what the channel is and percentages and revenue and quantities there. So for those folks that don't know, maybe you don't care, but in case you weren't aware of this report, that's kind of where you find it. So, all right, that is kind of the last thing I wanted to show you. I'm going to go back to the questions because there was at least a couple there that I skipped over because it didn't pertain to that specific item I wanted to cover there. So I have a question. On the booking engine, can the guest make the pictures bigger by clicking on them? So let's go back and answer that question. So I'm assuming what that question means. I'm clicking on arrival, clicking on a departure, hitting these. I'm assuming what they mean is just clicking on this particular unit, in which case you'll notice what it does. It does make it bigger, and that it kind of depends upon your photo and your size, the quality of the photo as well. But that does give them an indication. It also shows the description up here as well. So again, that does allow them. I was showing scrolling from here, but it does allow them to click that actual picture and get into a slideshow there. So good question, appreciate it. Next one regarding rates. Is there a way to have the rates on the user end be increased by 10% from what we have set up on the back end? So you want to show on you want to make your, and this is, I'm imagining this is for your website. So you want reservations from your website to be 10% higher than making phone call reservations. So technically, yes. So what the rates that are pulling on my booking engine are the rates that you specify. Is this rate bookable online or not? So you could have your standard rate that's not showing on the booking engine but is in my software, but you could have another rate that's showing on the software that's 10% higher. So you could actually create, in that scenario, you kind of have two rates, one that's not showing online that you're using when you book phone call reservations, and one that is showing online for people that want to do that. So that's a unique question. It's usually the opposite. So I haven't heard of that one before, of wanting to actually increase their rates for the online reservations, but it's certainly valid. That would be the way to do it though. So again, in the rate plan area here, we have the ability to create a rate and whether it's bookable or not. So this standard rate here, I could make not bookable, but it's still available for me when I take phone call reservations. But then I could make another kind of our standard rate, online rate that is bookable, and then create that rate here. And then you can make that to where that's the bookable one online. So the people that are on your website would not even see your standard rate that you have built, and your online rate would be the one. So hopefully that answers your question on that. I answered the question about the security code, the CVV code on the credit card. Hopefully that answers your question. And if anybody is, if I tried to answer your question, but it's not what I'm understanding, maybe raise your hand and I can maybe unmute you there. So I got that one covered, the additional information box. All right, here's a couple of new ones. I tried clicking view full availability on mobile, and it just takes them to a page saying, we're sorry, unfortunately, they're unable to view anything. How do we direct this so it takes them to the full calendar? So Aaron, the first question would be is if you actually do you display your booking engine by full calendar? So I'm assuming that would be the scenario here. So if you show your availability like this to begin with, so if I'm on your website and I hit book now, and this is the initial screen that you get, that should be how they're seeing that. So we may take that one offline. I will write your name down here. Otherwise, you can ping me afterwards as well, and then I will show you. But what it does is if you're not viewing it that way, what it's going to do, I don't have a great way to do this because I can't search availability for what's already booked. Actually, if I go to the quick booking widget here and I type in, I think I'm booked on 16th. So this is the message you might be seeing, but then what that does, so this is when I did not show the full availability. What I'm going to do here is going to be able to go down and view the availability for each particular unit in that case. Again, this is the scenario in which you're not showing full availability to begin with. So then this is the scenario where they're going to go in here and be able to click on an actual unit and check the availability for that particular unit. So again, we can take that one offline if that's kind of not what you're seeing, and make sure we've got that one squared away there. Are the images, next one up, are the images we upload resized to fit into the windows they appear in? Or is it a specific image size we should be uploading photos at? Is there a specific image file type? Those are good questions, and I apologize. I should have done my research. What I do know is it won't, like if you have a picture here that is gigantic, it is not going to, create a full big size image here. It will fit the image size. But if you load in a really small image, in fact, I think I had a couple of those. So this is perfect. I guessed right. If you load in a really small image, it will show really small. But again, the nice high quality photos, it will size it. It's not going to take up an entire screen here. So again, that just gives you an example. If you upload a really small one, it will show really small on there. I will get back to you with the remainder of that stuff. Ernest, I'll take that one and make sure we give you all the recommended file sizes, anything else. And if anybody else has, I think everybody can answer other people here. So if anybody, we've already discussed that with somebody, feel free to answer them. But next question, in tags, what does NMS mean? And before I go too much further, Judy, yes, this webinar is being recorded. Let me, I do know, I just saw somebody raise their hand, but I'm actually gonna, Melanie, if you are there, I'm gonna actually unmute you. And I just don't know what you mean by that. Tags, what does NMS mean? I've unmuted you. Can you speak? I think you're muted, and maybe you don't have a microphone, and then we'll have to take it off.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah, I can. Yeah. Hi, Melanie.
Okay, awesome. Hi. So in reservation tags, if you go into the configuration section and then you click on reservation tags, there's one that was already preloaded that says, it shows in mine, NMS.
So let me ask you this question. Did you convert from our old desktop software?
I did.
Okay. So those tags were in your, they weren't called tags. I believe those were check boxes.
Okay.
The old version. So that's nothing from us. So we converted check boxes into tags.
Gotcha.
So whatever it meant in your old software, or maybe it was old and you just never used it or paid attention to it, but that's where it came from.
Okay, I can delete it then. I don't know either.
All right.
Thank you.
Yep, you bet. Somebody had their, Ashley, I'm going to unmute you. You have your hand raised, and then I'll get back to more questions here. All right, Ashley, I've unmuted you.
I didn't actually mean to raise my hand. I sent my message through the chat, so we're good.
Okay. All right. I will just answer it there unless you just want to answer it here, but I'll answer it there. So Judy, webinar being recorded. Yes, it is. Aaron, yeah, we'll connect offline. All right, so somebody is saying the images, the photo upload page has some advice on file size. So let's go to that page. Thank you for that. Okay, yep, there we go. So we recommend using landscape horizontal photos with the size of at least 1920 by 1080. 1920 wide, 1080 tall. It does not give any sort of indication as the type of photos. I think a lot of mine are just PNG files, but I'm pretty sure you could do JPEGs. Yeah, a lot of mine are PNG. I'll get to that answer too. Final one so far, when I go to the booking engine, then units and unit types, then select unit, where does this description show up? So it's saying I go to the booking engine and then units and types, and you want to show by unit. Where does the unit description show up? So the description actually is not in here. That's kind of where you want to, if you want to show it by unit or by unit type, that's kind of where you select that. But where the unit descriptions are is actually in the configuration section under the units. And then whatever unit you want to make sure, and I recommend, reviewing those, clicking on that unit and then the description tab up here. So again, configuration, units, you pick the unit and then you go to the description tab. And whatever you put in here, and as long as you save that unit after you type in there, that's going to be what shows on your booking engine. What's the difference between rich and plain text? That is, you'll notice here, bold, bulleted point, bold and italicized. Those things are, rich text versus plain text. I don't know the true definition. I should probably get an indication for you. I can kind of review that and just give you a full indication as to what that is. But plain text is more, doesn't allow HTML stuff and code and bold and stuff. So, all right, that is all of the questions, I think. Ashley, you said you asked a question on here. I have some follow-ups to be sure. So anybody that I maybe skipped over and didn't get to, I'll review these later. Ashley, I don't see a question for you.
Ours was just about being able to default to the full availability search on the website.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't see that question on there. So do you just mean how you'd set that?
Yeah, that's
okay.
Perfect.
All right. So that is in the booking engine section. So let me go back. Question for everybody is when a user clicks, the book now, we have two options to show availability. One is this way, and we call it full availability. The other one is this way, where we call it the 2-month calendar, I think. So where you find that is in the software under the booking engine section under calendar options. So here is where you want the default calendar view. So the full availability or the 2-month. And then right below that, you're going to see this allow guest to switch views. What that does is that's this. So if you want to lock them into a certain view, you would not check this, and then the user would not be able to do what I'm doing here. They would not be able to switch back and forth. I recommend keeping it on there just because everybody is different. I prefer it this way. I prefer kind of knowing my dates versus full as a guest or as a user, but everybody's different. So I always recommend keeping the option on there. And then if you do the full availability, there are some options here, whether you want to display rates on there, what's the default days to display on there. You don't want to go too big on this. You don't want to go like a month at a time. It just gets, small, and there's only a certain, size of people's monitors. So don't make it difficult for a user to kind of line up the days and everything. So, but that's kind of where you set it. And so final question, I think I might have just answered this. Unit types, if I were to change that. Oh, okay, yeah, I did answer it, but you just don't remember. So that is the booking engine section under units and unit types. So here's where you can say, I want to show it by unit type. And again, we view a type as basically a rate plan is a type. So in this scenario, mine I kind of labeled this, but it it should be more like 1-bedroom cabins and 2-bedroom cabins, or lakeside versus, you know, park view, whatever it is. And then each unit's on there. So if I book by unit type now, actually, let me show you one of my other demo properties. This is my fake, it doesn't have my name here. I'm disappointed. It doesn't say Hebrink Hotel. This is my fake hotel website where I book by unit type. So if I clicking on book, choose an arrival, choose a departure, hit next. Now here it shows King Suites, King Executive. So it's not the actual unit itself. So I have several of these things. So that's where you set it, again, in the booking engine section under the units and types.
I have a question.
Oh, sure.
When you went to that look, I think your hotel homepage, it had a very nice header on it. Ours is currently not that nice. Specifically, like the book now button is centered and it's rather large in ours. It's not as, you know, doesn't look as classy, if you will.
Sure.
Is that something you control, or our website maintenance, or how do we fix that?
Do you have one of our websites?
No.
Okay, so that would be whoever designed your website.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So yep, you bet. So these are my demo stuff here is, these are all of our websites that we built. So if you see anything kind of on, like anything on the home page or accommodations or anything like that, that's your current web developers responsibility. Even, you know, creating the book now and where that's located. Where we come into play is you just want to route this. When I hit book now, it's actually kind of routing to our booking engine. All right, good question though. All right, that is it. You know what? I do want to ask, before people jump off quick, I do want to ask one more question, just because I am more curious than anything. Just kind of want to get an idea of how optimistic you are for 2021. Some of you had a fabulous year last year, we've heard. Some of you not great at all, depending upon where you were and what type of property. I just kind of want to get an indication. This is just for curiosity's sake. I'll share hopefully another few seconds here. I love some of these answers. All right, 3 seconds. Last chance. All right, so it's great to see a few people here very optimistic, and I'll knock it out of the park. That's awesome. Somewhat optimistic, not very optimistic. So I don't blame anybody. There's no right or wrong answer here. Again, this is just, I kind of wanted to gauge. So things are up and down, and it probably depends upon where you are located, what part of the country or what country you're in. So I appreciate everyone's time. I am going to end this, and a survey should pop up in the browser. I'd love it. I really appreciate if you fill that survey out. It'll help me. I think one of the questions is if there's anything you recommend for future topics at any point in time, even not in just a survey, let me know that. You can ping me. So thank you very much for attending. Have a great rest of the day. And hey, I made it right under an hour. So appreciate your time. Thank you.